Hello and welcome to episode 11. I think it's 11. Are we episode 11? I don't even remember.
Actually, I think it's 12.
Is it 12?
I think it might
recall. It might be 12. Who knows?
We've lost
But anyway,
count.
you are listening to or watching the live stream of the Crafty Boys. We are a podcast that talks about beer and man things, specifically hashtag Canadian man stuff. Because that's how we roll. We talk about hashtags and stuff as if it were important. My name is Shane, and I am one of the dudes on this podcast. And over to my left is...
I guess that would be Al.
Why would it be me?
You're on his left-hand
So
side.
instead of introducing yourself, Dave, you comment, well, no one else is talking, but I'll say that it's Alan. Instead of going, my name is Dave and I live in hell. So,
well, you said off to the left, bitch. So,
well, it's actually irrelevant whether you're to my left or your right. I was just giving it to somebody else so they could introduce themselves and you could fight it out amongst yourselves about who that is. But apparently, Dave is unimportant. So, Alan, who are you?
I'm Alan. And I'm in Victoria.
And I'm in Vancouver. And Dave is, of course...
I'm Dave. I'm currently in hell.
And you're in hell. Yeah, pretty much.
Guys, why are you in black and white and I'm in color?
Because you're more important than we are?
Yes. Thank you for saying that.
I just seemed logical to me.
Yeah. Well.
So, boys, how was your weekend? Or your week? This last week of any exciting news at all?
Exciting news? No, not really. As some people might know.
Nothing in the last 7 days happened that was of note. I got a piercing in my Johnson. No, that didn't happen. No, I didn't. No, actually, I was kind of.
Let's see.
I wish. Here you go.
You do? You wish?
No, I don't. Oh my God, could you imagine? I would never. I don't know if I could look at myself the same way again.
No, imagine if you ever took it out. It's like pee would go everywhere.
I know, that's kind of. How do you pee with that thing in your Johnson? I mean,
I don't know.
Because usually, I mean, I've seen piercings where they're the top of the head of your junk, some that are underneath. But what is it called? The Prince Albert, which is the one that is actually in your urethra and your I don't know. How is that awesome? That to me, it just seems really that it's like self-mutilation somehow. But I know Dave had it done.
Yes.
Or was that castration?
Is that why you can't get a woman?
Man stuff. Man. So basically, Dave, anything, apparently Alan did nothing this past week. Dave, what happened to you that was exciting and of note?
Well, apparently getting castrated. Other than that,
It's about time.
I didn't even notice.
Oh man.
That's
Okay,
what she said.
So, jumping into our beer of the week, we are drinking Piper's Pale Ale from Vancouver Island Brewery, which is a beer that I have had quite a bit of over the years. Piper's has been for a while it was our standby beer, and I think, honestly, it was my first introduction into craft brewing, because Piper's came out a long time ago.
At least 20 years ago. So, I mean, before anybody knew really what a microbrewery was or what craft beer was, Vancouver Island Brewery here in Victoria, BC, was pumping out this stuff here, Piper's Pale Ale, as well as a couple other varieties like Herman's Dark Bavarian Lager, and I don't remember what else. Do you remember what else?
Well, there was Herman's. There was I mean, it's been a while, but basically, I mean, there was the Herminator, which was
Which
the
is the
seasonal,
seasonal?
which is the based off of the Hermans. There was, I think there's about two or three others that I recall. But again, I mean, it's been a while since I've lived in Victoria, and I have to admit that the Vancouver Island Brewery has definitely expanded, and they're owned by somebody else now, which is sad.
I would argue that they aren't really a craft
Well, this is what
brewery
I mean. They started out as a craft
anymore.
brewery, but not anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I
Wait, can you
mean,
can you tell? Can you tell by drinking your pipers? Like, is that kind of what's going on?
well, so so of course, before craft brewing was a big thing, this is what you had to have if you were going to try a craft beer. I mean, it was either this or Budweiser or Labatt's or
Right.
some other like megalithic type brewery that you would have to buy product from. So there was this kind of thing.
Right.
So being hip people that we were, this is what we paid a premium to get this stuff. Now, since there's been all these other microbrews that have come up and there's such a huge selection, honestly, I haven't had any of this stuff in probably, I want to say, at least 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, I mean, it has been a while for me too, and I mean, it falls into the category of things that we would have on the show. Um,
Yes.
but I gotta say, I mean, I've had two now since I got this a few hours ago, and
I'm just finishing off my first.
I don't know, it's not as good as I remember, but that might just be because maybe I don't remember what it was or what it tasted like before.
Well,
But to
and
give you a little bit of information, by the way, before we continue talking about this beer, I wanted to
well, here,
point out.
let's do the pour. Let's do the pour.
Okay, all right, do the pour.
Okay, I'm opening up a can here, and there's the glass, and we are
Let's
pouring.
watch that. Okay, all right, not
Okay,
bad.
yeah, see that?
Little
Nice
little
frothy
foam
head.
on the pour there. Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, look at that.
So it has a nice
Golden.
color. I mean, it's got a really good color, and it's actually probably the first amber that I'd ever seen.
You're
And for
getting
those of
pretty
you
good
who have
at it.
not had Piper's Pale Ale, to give you some history, and this is directly from their broken website, unfortunately, because
Shane,
apparently
Shane,
whoever built, yeah,
you're blurry.
I'm
Like way
blurry. Oh my God, I really am blurry. Whoa, there we go. That's better.
blurry.
Piper's Pale Ale was named in honor of the Canadian war hero Piper James C. Richardson, who was lost during the Battle of the Somme during World War One. He was awarded the Victoria Cross for his acts of bravery, and the brewery was inspired by his dedication and sacrifice to Canada. In
Did you
Piper's
say
memory,
Battle of the Sun?
Somme, Somme. It's like in France and stuff.
I
Um,
don't think was castrated. I think he had a.
had his brain taken out. My God, man.
Holy.
Um,
Well, if you had to pronounce fucking French.
Yeah.
shut up. In Piper's memory, they salute his bravery and toast this beer in his honor. Now, okay, I I can see that. It's not such a bad thing. Um, it's just too bad that the website's partially broken because there's some text here you can't see and stuff like that. So I don't really know what's going on. But anyway, aside from that, Piper's was, of course, introduced quite some time ago. I don't know when. It's been a while, and they created it to honor this fallen veteran, and it really was kind of the first beer that craft brew I ever experienced having because I know that before then, I my first beer I think was a Canadian. Was it Canadian?
I have no idea.
Well, you were there. We were at that place. I don't know
Oh
where
no,
it
it was
was.
Corona.
Corona. Oh, even worse. so so basically,
Why,
we're
why
kind of
do I
giving. We're
remember that? Why do
I
I remember it was
I don't
Corona?
know why. Because I don't know, to be honest. I didn't remember that. But So basically, are we all giving this beer kind of a not a thumbs down, but kind of a it used to be good, but maybe the quality's dropped in
Well,
the
see,
last.
that's just it. I don't know if it's the quality that has dropped, or I've been exposed to so many other craft beers in the past 7 or 8 years that it's really taken away the luster from what I used to enjoy. But I will say this is my second one that I've had tonight. The first one, I almost choked because I thought it was so gross. The second one here, I've poured it in the glass, and drinking it out of the glass as opposed to the can, it actually tastes a lot better.
Okay, well maybe a little air exchange has happened that's made it made it better. Um, what about you, Dave? What's your experience today so far?
Um, my experience today so far is that I worked too long. It was kind of a boring shift. Um,
I
like you
meant
said
about the
today.
beer, man. I meant about the beer, not your life story about your
Well,
day.
I don't think
Jeez,
I've ever
man.
had this stuff before. I
You
You've
never
never
pre-assure
had?
had?
that
Oh,
I
okay. Well,
haven't had this
okay,
stuff
okay. This is good
before.
because what is it? What do you like about it, or what do you not like about it? What compared to the stuff that we've had on the show so far?
Ah, well, I guess being kind of a beer newbie, I would say it's pretty easy to drink.
Okay,
Um,
that's fair.
it's not super bitter. Um, it's I mean, it tastes okay. It's not like I've got, you know, heaps of different beer tastes that I've tried out, right? So, um, I don't know, it's not exciting. Um, I can see why you guys are just like, whatever, you know. Um,
That's a
I
good way
think
to describe it.
we've had better. We've had better in just
Yeah.
the few weeks we've been doing this, I think.
No, I
But
totally agree, and that's a really good way to describe it because it's kind of a lackluster experience so far because I mean the beer is fine, but when it in terms of it's not a terrible beer. It's not like something you put in your mouth and go that's it. You're spitting it out immediately. Although Alan sounds like you came close to that. Um, but I mean I don't know. I guess I have a weird twisted sort of feeling that I need to like it because it is originally from Victoria. Um, whether or not that's advised or that if that's ill-advised, it probably is. Um, so yeah, yeah,
I think it's a depending on the situation, it can be a very good beer. Like if you're gonna have like a backyard barbecue or something, and have a bunch of people over, um, it would be a good one to have where you can have like a few of them over the
yeah,
course
yeah.
of the evening, with a burger or a smoky or whatever, and you're not really paying a lot of attention to the beer itself. It's just something to hold and something to sip while you're socializing. Um, if you're going to be, spending some time actually tasting your beer and focusing time on it, it's probably not the beer for that kind of event.
Right, right, true. So the topics for today. The first one was suggested by Alan. This is a an article from the Paste magazine, which is a newspaper that I've never heard of until you shared this article with
No,
us.
I've never heard of it before either, but I thought it
But
was
the
kind of cool.
article, well, it's actually not a terrible article. I mean, it's titled "For Craft Beer Trends We Are Completely Over." Now, what does that mean? Well, this article goes in to talk about craft beer has its share of the next big things, trends that seemingly disappear as soon as they become hot. Um, apparently, that's an example of that is peanut butter beer. Um, but they talk about some things like the waxing of bottles, like having the tips of the bottles are they put the beer and they seal it and then they wax it, kind of like bourbons and things. You see that in bourbons and hard liquor. The session IPAs. Whoa, excuse me. I tried to suppress it. That was a bad idea. Wow. There we go. Um, basically, wow.
Wow.
Professionalism.
I like
But anyway,
I like the
so
picture of the guy in the article. The guy sniffing the beer, and he's got like the hipster
the hipster
stuff
look,
going
he's got
on
the
with
glasses and the
the
thing.
glasses and the mustache with the little twirly things on the end of it, and the tightly kept beard, and he's sniffing the beer. Like, who
Yeah,
sniffs
yeah.
beer? I mean, come on. Do you sniff beer, Dave?
Um,
Shane?
I sniff everything.
sometimes I've caught myself sniffing beer.
Really?
I think if it's a beer that I haven't had before and I pour it
Like,
out and I go, I just want to smell what it smells like and
yeah, okay, that's fair. But I mean, this guy's treating it like a wine tasting. It's like he's gonna swish it around in his mouth and then spit it out or something. It's like,
it's true. That's very, very true.
all right,
So basically now I want to punch this guy in the article in the face.
yeah.
So okay, let's go through these one at a time. So waxing bottles. Now what this means is, as I said, the beer goes into the bottle, they seal it with a cap, and then they dip it in hot wax. Now,
Get
I don't
rid
know
of
about you
those
guys,
unsightly
but hot
pigs, no doubt.
wax is good for two things. Hot wax is good for only two things in the world. Your naked chest.
What?
Candle wax on the nipples, that kind of thing? No? All right, never mind.
No.
No.
That's actually a quote. That's actually a quote from Weird Science, and I'm
Oh,
surprised
that's
you
right.
guys
Yeah.
missed it.
I thought I heard it before.
Oh my god. And also the second thing, of course, is using it to seal letters, where you have like your own seal, and you melt the wax and then seal it to seal the letter closed.
If you're
Those
from
are the two things.
1843,
It's cool, man. It's cool. It's still cool. So essentially, it sounds like that this has been a trend for a short period of time, but it's really more or less for the visual of the bottle. And when I was picking up this Piper's Pale Ale, the Piper's Pale Ale bottles were right next to another bottle of something which I forgot the name of already, but they had waxed all the bottles as well. I don't know. What do you guys think?
um, it does give the illusion that it's a premium thing, and often it comes with a premium price. That doesn't necessarily mean that the beer inside is premium. You're just paying a lot more for the attention they've given in the presentation of the bottle. And fair enough. I mean, if that's something that's important to you, I mean, some people look at the label and are attracted to a beer by the label. For instance, I'm attracted to beers from Parallel 49 because the artwork on the labels are just so cool, and the names of the beers are awesome, like Jerk Face 9000. I want to try that beer so badly, even though all the reviews for it are horrible. But the name, I gotta try a beer that has that name of Jerk Face 9000. I mean, who doesn't? It sounds like a robot, right?
I kind of
Um,
want to see Jerkface 9000. Or see, I want to actually drink
taste it?
Jerkface 9000. That
Yeah.
sounds great, actually.
Yeah, totally. So there's an attraction definitely to the presentation of the product in the store. And I think the waxing of the bottles just adds to the presentation. But I think the article is right that it's something that soon, if too many people do it, people are going to be like, "Pff," you know, they're not going to see it as a premium product necessarily because everybody's doing it.
Dave, your thoughts?
I think it's all a bunch of bullshit.
And that's the show for everyone tonight. Thank you so much for coming out. Dave, that was probably the best
seriously.
comment I've ever heard. Your delivery was spot on. It was direct, and you also at the same time sounded like you could have cared less. I just think it's all a bunch of bullshit. You were kind of like Matthew McConaughey doing his voice really deep. I think it's just kind of a bunch of bullshit. So okay, well, I felt bad for burping earlier, but you know what? You have brought it to an even lower level of awesome. Bunch of bullshit. So okay, well, the next thing in the article,
isn't it?
it kind of actually is very much dazed and confused. So the second point in this article is about session IPAs. Now, if you if you don't know what a session IPA is, essentially it is a
It's a beer with a lower.
I want to use the word a higher level of suckage, but
Basically, it's a beer that you could drink a lot of. Like
it has a lower level of alcohol in it. It has a smoother taste, I suppose, where the IPA is not as strong. Is that a word? Sharp. Sharp is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Um,
Although
I don't know.
the example that they've given in the photo here, the Wishbone Session Double IPA, has an alcohol volume of 8%.
Yeah, it's
That's
bad
pretty high
language.
for a session.
Yeah, well, exactly, because usually they're about 4, they're maybe 3.5.
Yeah.
I think I've seen as low as 3.5.
Basically, it's a beer that you can drink a lot of.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're at a social gathering or something, you can drink a lot of them without getting too nuts.
So this would be
Dave, have you
appropriate
had
for
any
Americans, is what you're
of
saying.
these sorts of IPAs?
What? Sorry?
Have you had any of these IPAs?
No. No. I've actually seen them
Is it
on the
bullshit,
shelf,
Steve?
and I've wondered what the deal is with these things, because I've seen these session bottles, right? And I've always wondered what the deal was with them. So now I kind of know, but I've never had one.
You haven't.
Nope. And it doesn't sound like I need to bother. Not
I'll
the
be
way you
honest,
guys are
if it
talking.
says session on it, I stay away.
Completely, like you would completely just avoid them.
Yeah, I just avoid them because
Sorry,
I'm not interested in it.
I just got distracted because I couldn't figure out where the sound on my computer was coming from because Dave was talking, then suddenly I was hearing music and people talking. There's an ad in the top corner of Paste magazine that auto-played on me. Started playing some ad for some, I don't know, food or something. So I was trying to figure out where it was. I'm like, where is this coming from? Stop! Why? Okay, let's move on to the next thing, because basically we all sort of agree that session IPAs are just kind of lame. Now, the next thing, they call them adjuncts, but essentially it is where you take a beer, a perfectly good beer, unharmed, and you bastardize it with mixing it with something else. The example, of course, they have here in the article is somebody adding corn chips and jalapenos, but also things like coffee, milk, coffee, chocolate, vanilla, coconut.
Well, to be fair,
The one that they were,
the article says that things like coffee, chocolate, vanilla, and coconut are okay because they've been proven winners in the right beers.
Right. But the bastardization also includes the horrible mixtures of things like probably Rogue, I think, is the closest beer maker
With the
that we've
voodoo
had on the
donut.
show, with the voodoo donut. So I mean that's a bastardization right there, and that should be stopped. This is unacceptable behavior for such things. But essentially, I don't know. I think that initially when I started paying attention to craft beer entirely, which is not too long ago, like 3 or 4 years ago. I thought it was gross. I thought it was awful. But I think with the latest coffees that you and I have experienced, Alan, and actually what was that one that we had from England, Dave? I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Oh, crikey. Do you remember
Oh,
He chose it. crap, whatever it was called. Not important. But the article,
The banana bread beer.
banana bread, that's the one. Um,
Yeah.
so if you thought that one was okay, I guess that sort of falls into this category of beers that potentially are, well, evil. I was
Holy
trying to freak you
close on
guys
that,
out.
man.
I was trying to freak you out, but you guys didn't even notice. You didn't notice.
I'm actually looking at the article. I'm not looking at
Oh,
you.
sorry. So I'm just moving my camera so it's a little less. It's really having trouble finding focus. So
Mm.
anyway, so basically, I guess yeah. So we've had the vanillas, we've had the coffees, mainly the coffee, mainly the chocolates, and those are okay, especially when they actually comment here. I was going to say that it kind of stouts sort of do well with this kind of thing, probably because they can hide the grossness a little bit. But anyway. And caring about big beer is number 4 on this particular article's list. And essentially that means people that have exposed themselves to craft beer will laugh at Canadian Bud, Miller, Coors, especially when I see have a silver bullet. And I'm like, that's just gross. But essentially, there's this sort of anti-mass-produced beer, I think, this attitude that's gone around since the craft beer explosion of the last, say, 10 years. I don't know. Do you guys actually, I don't remember the last time I had really crappy beer that I enjoyed. Because I had some Canadian, I don't know, a few months back, just after the holidays, and it was awful, and I hated it, and I didn't want it ever again. But is that because we're now beer snobs? We're on our way to becoming the biggest snobs of the beer world.
To be
Is this true?
fair, before the whole craft beer thing, I didn't
Right.
like Canadian.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't drink it. I didn't like a lot of the mass-produced beers. In fact, I just kind of didn't drink them. Luckily, stuff like, Piper's Pale Ale came out right around the time that I started drinking. So, when I became of age. So I was able to, take part in stuff like this, and that was my alternative.
So before
What's
you
interesting
became of
about
age,
this
that's a
article
different
is
story.
apparently there was one major beer company put out a Super Bowl ad that basically made fun of craft beer drinkers as being pretentious and
Pumpkin peach ale.
and apparently that somebody made a commercial. Of course, I never saw it. That was a hidden camera in a pub where craft beer drinkers were given Budweiser and told it was craft beer, and they all really enjoyed it, to prove that Budweiser is better than everything else.
That's gross.
It is
That is
gross.
gross.
I mean, I would like to think that if somebody fed me Budweiser without me knowing, I would be like, yeah, this is disgusting. It kind of reminds me of like those commercials. I don't know if I mean, you don't have TV, Shane, but there's these commercials that I think it's Nabob for coffee is putting out, and they're talking to people in Colombia, like bean pickers, coffee bean pickers, and there's this American guy. You know what people in the States are doing? They're putting whipped cream in their coffee. They're putting cocoa in their coffee and pumpkins in their coffee, which actually nobody's putting pumpkins in their coffee. So they're kind of belittling people for having all of these exotic
Coffees.
Yeah, frou-frou coffees, and saying all you need is just like Nabob beans and hot water filters and a mug, and that's how coffee should be drank. So so there's this real push, to go back to the way things were, and it's being driven by these large companies.
Joe never used to have a second cup of my coffee. Um, yeah. So, Dave, have you actually had Budweiser or Lucky or any of those sorts of beers?
No, no. Nope.
Sorry, what, Dave? Speak up, Dave. Can't hear you, Dave. Speak up, man.
I have not of either.
Wow.
Wow, he really can't. You can't hear him when he actually talks into his microphone. Well, actually,
Do I need to turn up?
there's actually a beer that I had recently that I didn't hate called Old Milwaukee.
Mm.
And the only reason I had it is I was out at the pub with some friends a couple of weeks ago, and they were like, "Yeah, let's get some beer." And they had a sale of Old Milwaukee for like $2 a can, and we were like, "Okay, we'll
You
have
paid too
$2 beer."
much.
I know. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't amazing. It was better than it was definitely not as good as Piper's beer. Piper's beer, better than Old Milwaukee.
Oh,
But yeah, I mean,
I think
It was
an ice
nice
pick in the
spot.
eye would be better than Old
Yeah,
Milwaukee.
that's true. We should actually cover Old Milwaukee. Can we lie and say it's a craft brew? And I have to say, I don't think I'd ever want to have pumpkin peach ale. That just sounds disgusting. But again, we had the brum. What the hell's it called? The brum beer, the banana bread beer, which was not terrible. It was kind of tasty. I enjoyed it.
It was good. I liked it.
So that's a good thing. Thanks for bringing that one up, Dave. So we're getting pretty close to the end here. Any sorts of final commentary about this article? And also, have we really become beer snobs?
Oh, we definitely become beer snobs. I mean,
Yeah, we
I
have.
mean, there's no arguing it. We have. I mean, even if we didn't want to, it's unavoidable now.
Too late,
I mean,
mother truckers.
this proves it. This proves it right here. This
This
was
is-
our go-to beer for years. This is what, this set me above my father-in-law who drinks whatever he drinks, like some horse pee thing.
Some horse pee beer.
It's like a bunch of guys wearing overalls going, hold these cans underneath a horse's wang, fill them up, seal them, and then sell them. So this is what set me above my father-in-law. And now I don't know if I'd ever buy this again.
I just can picture that now, just like somebody holding like a bucket under a horse. Like, it's gotta pee sometime.
Okay, Bessie, here you
Alright,
go.
till they make this happen. Anything you want to add there, Dave, before we finish the show off?
oh, tons. But it would make the show last for another half an hour. So
So he's
it's
pussing out.
interesting, actually. It's really interesting article, actually. It brings up a lot of shit. But like I said, we don't have another half an hour, so it's I guess a final thought would be kind of a little bit about what you guys were talking about in terms of what were you saying?
Mhm.
Having things be the way they used to be. Stuff was better back in the old days, kind of thinking, and
Well, I guess we could also make
there's
a
a lot
comment
of
about
retro.
retro. Yeah, retro.
There's a lot of retro going on. I'm sure you guys have both noticed it.
Oh,
I
totally.
mean, everywhere you see it, the fashions and TV shows and booze.
Well,
Christ,
Crown
what
Royal
else?
has started
Music.
putting their bottles back in the purple bags again.
Really?
Yeah.
Because they killed that off a while back.
Yeah, so they've actually got a huge marketing campaign right now for that.
Um,
Wow.
I think the only thing that really can be said is that a lot of the craft breweries from ages and ages ago have been bought up by the larger brewers and have probably suffered because of it. So
Oh yeah.
anyway, well, I think that wraps it up for this week. Because I'm sad now that I don't have my pumpkin peach ale. However, if people want to find us, you can of course go to www.crafty the what is it? What the hell is our website?
TheCraftyBoys.ca.
Thank you. Thecraftyboys.ca, of course. You can also find us on Twitter. But of course, individually, you can find us as well if you want to pick our brains about the beers that we love and hate. So, Alan, when people want to find you online, if they're not using the Crafty Boys, they are looking for what?
Well, they're going to Twitter, which is a place where people tweet their twats, and they can search me at. Yeah, it's a little.
Are you
little
sure you're
hack-
doing that Twittering thing right?
Oh yeah, I tweet my twat all the time. And you
That
use the
explains a
little
lot,
hat thing.
actually.
It's like an A with a little squirrely circle around it. Alan, Alan, M as in
Murgatroyd.
margarine, Ford, Ford, because I'm named like after the guy that invented the car. I don't have any of the riches from the family though.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So, Dave, if people want to find you online, where would they be looking? Oh, wait. You're unique. Explain why you're unique.
Well, I know.
It's all bullshit.
Plus,
It's all a bunch of bullshit.
I am on G Plus, but you won't really see any action on G Plus.
I gotta say, hey Dave, you know what you really need to do? You need to like flesh out your online presence a bit, even if you're Google
We can
Plus.
help you, Dave.
You haven't shared anything
I
since
don't know if I want your
2013.
kind of help, Al.
Oh my lord. Other than that, of course, there's me, which of course, if you go to shanesworld.ca or Twitter me at ShaneBEE, there you go. Thank you again, guys, for coming by. And Locke should be back next week. He is currently in the middle of lawyering exams.
And hey, what are we going to talk about next week?
Well, next week, I don't know. What do you think? I think we need to touch on some movies that we love because I've been going through a bit of a nostalgic moments of films, especially films from the 80s. And I think there's a lot of manly films that we could, of course, address, such as, and the reason I bring this up is because if you watch late night television, which I don't because I can't get it, but I do watch some of the clips on YouTube. But if you go to the Late Late Show with, what's his name? The new guy.
Fallon?
Oh my God, I'm totally forgetting his name. But it's, oh Lord, this is so sad. I should know this. Nice. Arnold Schwarzenegger. If you'll actually search for Arnold Schwarzenegger acts out his 80s films in less than 6 minutes, you will see them cover all of the greats: Commando, The Terminator, Twins, etc. So yeah, so there you go. So I'm thinking we should touch on some of the stuff that we watched and have enjoyed beer to.
Cool.
Excellent. Thank you so much, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Bye.